I listened to that.
Okay. Okay, according to my watch, it is now 3 o'clock. Call to order the Board of Directors regular meeting for Tuesday, January 17th. Could I have a roll call, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Here.
Director Duff,
Present.
Director Griffith,
Present.
Vice President Sewell,
Here.
President Martin.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Would you please stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Ivan, would you lead this? Sir?
Hand over your heart. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to address the board?
President Martin, we do not.
Okay. Moving on to item 6, presentation, 2023 calendar drawing contest. Do we have the
Yes.
recipients here today?
Marion, yes. Well, we have two of them. Marion
Yes.
will present that.
Okay, Marion?
Good afternoon, President Martin and directors. We do have one that is joining us right now, and I'm still missing the other, but I'm going to go ahead and start. First, I'd like to introduce you to Jackie Munoz from Mission Vista Academy, who was our 3rd place finisher. Jackie has a passion for anything creative. She especially loves drawing, making digital artwork, and painting. When asked why, she says she loves the colors and the endless possibilities art provides her. When not refining her creative skills, she can also be found playing video games or watching Japanese anime videos. She also enjoys spending time with her 2 brothers or taking care of her 2 dogs. If Jackie does not become an artist, she's also interested in becoming a veterinarian because she loves animals. Jackie, I don't see that she made it on the Zoom this afternoon. I did text with her mother this morning and she was supposed to be here, so I apologize that she's not here. But we'll go ahead and we'll move on to Edward, our 2nd place finisher, Edward Silva from Desert Hot Springs High School. Edward loves Mexican chorizo, and he drew this picture because it reminded him that when his grandma makes chorizo and tells him to never throw the grease down the drain, but to throw it in the trash instead. Besides his grandmother's cooking, he likes drawing, but most of his spare time is spent playing video games with other kids online. He also likes riding his bike with friends. He has 6 sisters and no brothers, and he told me that he wishes he had a brother. Edward also enjoys playing baseball, which he has been doing since he was 6 years old. He loves old cars, and since he just turned 15, he can't wait to get his driver's license and says he would like to someday be a mechanic. Edward could not be here today. He had a conflict with school, but he really wanted to send his gratitude to the district for allowing him to enter into the contest. And last, but certainly not least, our 1st place finisher is Joseph Velderant. And Joseph was just zooming in right now. I don't see him making it in yet, but I'll go ahead and introduce him and hopefully he'll be here in just a few moments. Joseph is our top finisher, and he attends Desert Springs Middle School, and he loves all things art. Someday he hopes to be a professional artist. To create the vibrant colors in his piece, he used a combination of pencils, pens, and markers, and he says that his art teacher has helped inspire him. Right now, he is enjoying painting both landscapes and portraits. When not drawing or working on his artwork, Joseph can be found outside hiking or chilling out with his dog. He's the youngest of 7 and says that his siblings have taught him the meaning of hard work and what it means to have discipline. I do not believe I can hear Carol's trying to help Joseph get in right now on the Zoom, but I don't believe he's made it in time, so I do apologize.
Okay, some very impressive work there. Not only from the message it conveyed, but the art itself is very, very excellent. Any questions or comments from the board on the presentations? Yes.
I have, first of all, I think they did outstanding job and kudos to all of you. I hope you at least get to see this. Keep up the good work and follow your dreams. But especially for the first place winner, what I found really impressive and interesting about that picture that he did is that we typically read left to right, but the colors and everything else draw your eye to the right, and it does go right to left. And I found that to be extremely impressive because automatically I went to the right. So it shows you have a real talent there, and I would follow your dream and nurture your talent. You'll go far. And great job for everybody.
Thank you. Good.
No, I think Director Griffith said it all.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Amber? Okay. Yes, I concur. We give you a ditto all the way across the board on your comments there. So thank you, Marion. If any of them join later on in the meeting, we can go back and give them the congratulations. So I'm open to that. So just give us a holler if they join us online.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 7, Human Resources Report. Pardon?
Well, we have 3 individuals we'd like to recognize today. It's always one of the more fun times is when you get to meet the actual staff that's out there in the field and doing the work. We have a new hire, Fernando Ruiz, and he joins us as a Field Operations Technician 1. Fernando is passionate about the water industry, comes to it with some experience. He is currently working to obtain his associate's degree in water science technology. He has experience fixing leaks and replacing service lines, and he's already shown that he will be an asset to Mission Springs Water District. And here to introduce Fernando is it our Field Operations Superintendent, Jeff? Is he here? Okay, Jeff. Jeff on?
Jeff, make sure you're not muted.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Thanks, Arden. Yeah, Fernando comes here with some prior experience with other agencies, and he's shown that he's going to be a true asset. You know, he's been out there with the other staff, pulling services, replacing them, fixing mainline leaks. He's been into the valve maintenance and blow-offs and things like that, and he's shown that he does have a lot of experience behind him, and he's going to be a true asset to us.
Okay. Did Fernando get online? Does he want to say anything or? Maybe not. Okay, we can move on. Okay, then next we are going to recognize 2 employees. Their anniversaries are this month, and they represent more than 16 years. We'll start out first. We'd like to honor Field Operations Technician Lorenzo Soto, who has been with the district for 5 years. He gets his 5-year pin. In his role, Lorenzo is responsible for a wide range of duties, including the construction and maintenance of fleet buildings and meters. He also works on our water production, distribution, and storage facilities. Specifically, Lorenzo has played an important role in the district's valve and fire hydrant maintenance programs. And I'm going to tell you, we have tens of thousands of these valves, and it may not seem important, but I can't tell you how many times we've had a leak and 1,500 gallons a minute and the valve stem breaks off. So, and I don't think people realize these are the kind of expenses that we incur. We need to have an active program that goes out and exercises those valves, and they need to be exercised about once a year. He also has been very helpful in showing new employees the department's process. Oh, and that's what's also been very helpful. He's also good at setting up job sites, which is part of the effectiveness or efficiency, and using field equipment and tools. Again, Jeff Nutter is here to introduce and say something about Lorenzo.
Yeah, thanks again, Arden. And yeah, you said it very well, the importance of the valves. Lorenzo does do a lot with the valve maintenance, crew. And he's actually one of them that will lead the crew on times, locating them, making sure that they're operable, they're reporting any bad valves to us, in our GeoViewer, aspects. And he's also one of those employees I can really, rely on when we have a new employee like Fernando. He really takes the time to explain our task and why we do things. And it's been very, very helpful. That way, the next time we go do a particular job, the employee knows already. And, Lorenzo's been really, really good and patient with the new employees. So that's one of the things I really appreciate from Lorenzo is his patience and his, teaching skills. He does a very, very good job doing that. So, I just want to say thanks to, all of his efforts and everything he does.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, he's just a very, very good person. So you get your 5-year pen, Lorenzo. I don't think he's online, is he, Jeff?
Yeah, they're both listening in. They chose not to, speak at this
Say
time.
anything. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, well, great. And it's good to have you on board as well as part of the team. Next is a person y'all have met and talked to. Arturo has always been an interesting person. He was our auditor before he came to work here. And we took the opportunity to bring him on board like we could. And as most accountants, he's extremely precise, and integrity is part of the whole game of being an auditor and an accountant and an accounting person. And I think Arturo takes it to a different level. And he's just been fantastic. And it really, accounting and finance management, it's interesting how much work it takes to perform that part of the business. And it's critical to our success. If you don't know where the money's going or coming from, there's a good chance your business will fail. And when organizations manage their income and expenses, there's a stronger potential for future growth. And I thought, well, some accountants are just your typical accountants, but Arturo takes it to a different level, and he researches and he does everything just like he does his auditing and accounting. And throughout this career, the district, he's excelled at any task that we've given him. He continues to add value to the bottom line. Some of you may recall 2 years ago when we unexpectedly found ourselves without a finance director. Arturo, then the accounting manager, stepped in and filled the void without any problem. He did so with grace and professionalism. He had his eye on perfection and kept the district financially stable. And he's also brought to us new ideas and improvements so that we don't make mistakes, and that we keep improving and make this district even greater. He continues to impress his peers, and I am grateful for his leadership because I really don't know what I'd do without him. Now, Arturo, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you, General Manager Wallum. And I want to say thank you to the board for the continued support. Several years ago, 11 to be precise, I had the opportunity to interview with a couple of agencies. And I wanted to find a place that, added meaning to my work. You don't want to just wake up in the morning and go to work and, not know what it is that they're doing. Mission Springs Water District is doing great things for the community. And when I see other departments, Marion doing what she does with all of the changes that she's bringing to the district and to the community, engineering, customer service, and operations, including Dory with the many improvements that we're doing with the board items. And I can't help but to want to be better. Not only for the district, but for the community, because at the end of the day, I'm reminded every day that we're here for them. And I'm thankful because that adds a lot of meaning to my work. And I appreciate that for the continued support again from the board and your confidence in the work that we do here at the district. So thank you.
thank you, Arturo. He does bring up a good point that, we've stepped into another level and we are now, we've always, since I've been here, always been considered a large water district, but just barely into the large category. But you know what? We needed to really take this to a different level, and that's the kind of staff we have. And thanks to Arturo, we're building a better district. So that concludes the HR report today.
Okay.
And the board and I generally appreciate each and every employee and commend them for their dedication and commitment to our customers. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Amber?
Just a welcome to our new employee. Thank you for our 5-year and congratulations on that. And then for Arturo, your words were very moving and it shows in the work that you are doing. And for that, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Robert?
Relatively just echo the sentiments of welcome to Fernando and congratulations to everybody else on their milestones.
Okay, Ted?
Yes. Fernando, I always like to see somebody that has their heart into the work and furthers their education. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Ivan?
And I will just ditto what's been said, but just happy that we have such a strong team here at Mission Springs.
I think Ted said it nicely.
Yeah.
That is, their heart is in this.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Yes, and I concur what's been said by the rest of the board. All of the employees that we've taken on, I've been very impressed with over the years, and I think whoever making the decision, which I assume the final decision, the rest with our general manager. You've done a good job in that
They
respect.
do talk me into a few things.
Okay, all right.
President Martin, if
Yes.
I may, 2 of our 3 award winners are now online.
Okay. Go ahead and make the introduction and then want to congratulate them.
First, we have Jackie Munoz, the student from Mission Vista Academy. Jackie, thank you for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to say to the board or explain your artwork to the board? Let them know what you were thinking when you created it.
Jackie, you're muted.
I just wanted to do something different because when I saw all the other art pieces, they all kind of looked similar. So I wanted to do something with like news broadcasting and stuff like that.
Excellent. Very good. And you say we have the other winner on the line?
Yes, we also have Joseph Belderon. Joseph was our top finisher, and he's the one who attends Desert Springs Middle School and wants to be an artist someday. Joseph, do you want to tell us a little bit about why you're passionate about art and why you enjoy it so much?
Why I'm passionate about art is because when I was little, I always liked drawing. I don't know why. It's just whenever I picked up the pencil, I always just I was able to express my imagination to it. So that's why I like to pursue drawing, and I like it.
Well, that's excellent. And to Jackie and Joseph, congratulations. I like not only your artistic talent, but the message that you showed in your illustrations. They were spot on, and I think job well done. Job well done. Any questions or comments from the board? Ted?
Less time on the video games and more into your art. It's a lifelong learning process.
Yeah. There you go, Ivan.
Just congratulations to you both and thank you for participating.
Amber?
Same. You both did a wonderful job. All 3 of you did a wonderful job. To the one that didn't make it, we hope you can hear the comments, and we hope that you'll continue to participate in these kind of things as your life goes on, and we'll look forward to seeing what you produce in the future.
Robert?
You weren't on when we originally had the site open, so I made some comments that if you get a chance, you can go to YouTube to watch. I don't want to repeat again, but congratulations on both of you. Great job. And Jackie, from one animal lover to another, please be a vet. We need more of them here. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 8, resolution 2023-01. This is a routine resolution that we've been passing on a regular basis since COVID. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Mission Springs Water District proclaiming a local emergency persists, re-ratifying the proclamation of a state of emergency by executive order NS09-21, and reauthorizing remote teleconference meetings of the legislative bodies of the Mission Springs Water District for the period January 23rd, 2023 through February 23rd, or 22nd, 2023, pursuant to the provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act. Are there any questions or comments from the board on item 8? Ted? Amber? Robert? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-01. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to item 9, appointments to board standing committees. President Martin may appoint members to the district standing committees. We have a couple of changes. And the first change I want to discuss is I'm going to let Director Meyerhoffen address. Ted?
Yes, the committee that you put me on, President Martin, I appreciate the appointment to it. But it's my understanding that sometimes the committee deals with younger school children on a regular basis. And being a single male father, I think it's best that if we have somebody who's at least a parent that can get more involved with the kids.
Just to interject something here, I have determined that since, because I looked into it after I spoke with you, that we haven't had a groundwater guardian meeting in 6 years. So I'm removing groundwater guardians off the list, and we will consider revisiting that should they start up again or have a special meeting and stuff. We'll revisit that and address that again. So
Okay,
groundwater
thank you.
guardians aren't going to be part of this on there. You also had a suggestion of an addition. You want to address that?
President Martin, this is actually the next item on the agenda.
I'm sorry. I thought this was the,
Standing.
This Standing committees, not affiliation list.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. Listed on there traditionally, it is the, there are a number of standing committees: executive, engineering, finance, human relations, and public affairs. On the executive, I have appointed myself and Director Sewell as the member. I'm the chair and Director Sewell is the member. And engineering, the chairperson is Meyerhoffen and the member is Amber Duff. On finance, the chairperson is Duff, followed by Director Griffith. Human relations, the chairperson is Sewell and the member is myself. Public affairs, chairperson is Griffith and the member is Sewell. And those are the changes in the committees, and I don't believe that requires a vote. No, it does not. So any questions or comments on the appointments that I've still given? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. Sorry about the mix up there. The affiliations listing, we'll go move on to that. Item 10. There's a list of affiliate, are there any additions to the affiliate list that we would like to make at this time? Or deletions of existing ones? I'll open that up for discussion. Director Duff?
I have a suggestion for one addition. That would be the Coachella Valley Cannabis Alliance Network. They've supported a few of
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the meetings and that portion.
oh, and workshops. I apologize.
That's all right. That's all right. I made,
Addition.
see, I started the stream of mistakes on this agenda item, so people
I
are following
apologize.
my lead. No, that's okay. That's okay. Any changes you want to make on that affiliate list? Okay, while you're looking at it, Ted, any changes on the affiliate list?
No, sir.
Ivan? Robert?
Not necessarily a change. I'm just curious, we don't really get involved with Visit Greater Palm Springs, do we?
What's that?
We don't really get that involved with Visit Greater Palm Springs. I mean, they have their board meetings, but I don't know if we should get involved with them in terms of how the overall tourism industry is affecting the water here. And I don't know if DWA does or CWD.
I'm trying to, which one of these you're referring to?
Greater Coachella Valley Chamber.
No, Visit Greater Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Used to be the CVB.
Okay, let's see, let's see.
I don't know that they need to be on there. It's just something that popped in my head.
Again, I point to it on the list, so
They're not on there.
Oh, they're not? Okay, all right. I thought you were saying we don't need to belong to
No,
that, so.
it was just something that was popped into my head.
Oh, okay, all
Is
right.
that something that we should consider maybe in the future?
Sure, we can add, what's the name of the Greater Palm
Visit Greater
Springs?
Palm Springs.
Greater Palm Springs.
Visit Greater Palm Springs. Used to be the convention visitors.
Okay, I thought we used to belong to Visitors and Conventions Bureau. And now it's just called Visit Greater Palm Springs?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Did not know that. Yeah, that would be okay. Any other additions or removals? Okay. Ted, no, Ivan? Okay. And I already asked you and any, no, you don't. Okay. All right. So, Dory, did you get the Greater Palm Springs, or excuse me, visitors and visit? Greater Palm Springs on there. Did you get that on the
Yes,
list?
sir, I did. Yes.
Okay, all right, super. And that's the only changes for that. All right. And let's see. Yeah. Which ones? Yeah, we'll get back to the meetings and workshops. Had removed 2 of the meetings, which were the groundwater guardian team, because we haven't, as I said, haven't had meetings in approximately 6 years. We're going to leave. At that point, I wanted to add one that Ted had suggested making, and that was for the Desert Hot Springs Planning Commission observer. And Ted, do you want to expand on that at all, or just?
Not really, just when I was a planning commissioner, I never really saw any representation from the board of directors here.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that somebody follows along with where the next developments are coming and be able to
Okay.
come back and report on.
And I concur. I think it was a good suggestion to have that, because they addressed that. Okay. Any other questions or comments on his suggestion to add the planning commission? Okay. And the other change was recommended by Director Duff. And do you want to touch on that, which organization it is?
We'll try that again. The Coachella Valley Cannabis Alliance Network, CVCAN, and they've actually supported several of the MSWD events, and including the upcoming 70th anniversary. And they have a large number of businesses that are all members of this organization in our city that we serve and are planning to be able to serve in the future. And I think it would be a good opportunity for us to get a better working relationship with them.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board on that recommendation? Hearing none, you will be the chair per the primary, and the alternate will be Director Sewell. And the Planning Commission, it'll be Director Meyerhoffen, and the alternate will be Griffith. Moving up at the top again, we're going to keep Coachella Valley Water District, DWA regular board meeting as attendee. Primary is Griffith, followed by alternate Sewell. On Desert Hot Springs City Council observer, that'll be myself, and as an alternate, Director Griffith. On the Desert Hot Springs Hoteliers Association, the primary is Director Griffith. Alternate is Director Duff. Countywide Oversight Board, it'll be myself, and there is no alternate since that was an elected position, not an appointed one. San Gorgonio Pass Regional Water Alliance, primary will be Director Duff, and the alternate will be Director Meyerhoffen. Legislative representatives to travel to meetings on both in Washington, D.C. and most likely the state capital. It says California, but I would imagine it would be Sacramento. The primary will be Sewell, and the alternate will be Griffith. And that's kind of a misnomer because actually both of you go to those meetings. Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce, the primary will be Sewell, and I myself as an alternate. Now, addressing these primary and alternate positions, if you are a primary and cannot make the meeting, please send a text or an email to your alternate to advising him that you will not be in attendance so they can make arrangements to attend. Okay. And I think that concludes our appointments on there. We addressed the voting delegates, I believe.
Did we address the voting delegates for Aqua, CVAG, and I don't believe we did.
I'm sorry, run that by me again.
Down at the bottom, the voting delegates for Aqua JPIA and CVAG, the two commissions on CVAG.
And Region 9.
Region 9 is usually the president, same with Aqua conferences and.
Okay, hold on here a second. Let me pull it up on, I don't have it on my worksheet here.
I think we talked about it on Thursday, but not today.
Oh, okay, all right. So you wanted to add which again?
Just to go over those delegates.
Oh, all right. Aqua Region 9, traditionally it's the president, which is myself, and vice president is Director or Vice President Sewell. The Aqua conferences, when we take a vote, the Aqua conferences, it'll be myself, and alternate will be Director Sewell. That's not to be confused with attending the Aqua conferences. All of us are approved to attend the Aqua conferences. On the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission, primary will be myself and followed by alternate Sewell. Energy and Environmental Resources Commission for CVAG, be the primary myself and alternate Sewell. Special District Association of Riverside County, myself, and followed by Vice President Sewell. Okay.
And Aqua JPIA?
Okay, I'm sorry, Aqua JPIA, the primary will be Sewell and the alternate will be Griffith. And as I say, don't confuse that with just attending the Aqua conferences. There is a section of the thing where we vote on different issues separate from the conference, and that's when you will assume your role as either the primary or alternate. Okay, did we cover all of that, Dory? Anything more we needed to address on that?
No, sir.
on those items. Okay.
That's good.
Sorry for the confusion there on my part. Item 11, Federal Advocacy Services, Capri and Clay Incorporated. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to execute an agreement for services with Capri and Clay Government Relations in the amount of $4,000 a month for the term February 1st, 2023 to January 31st, 2024. General Manager Wallum, any
What,
further on that?
other than for the two new directors, and I think maybe you, Robert, is that I'm going to essentially tell you that you don't get to talk to an elected official in Washington, D.C. unless you have a lobbyist. It would be very rare. So I think I forgot to mention that. I didn't know if I wanted to mention it at the last meeting, but it's the way it is. And I don't know why. I've always thought, why do I need to do that? But it's the rule of, it's kind of the law of the land out there.
Okay.
So, and I think Laura's been much more informative in the last few years.
Okay.
We get a report every month and she calls Brian or me. So
All right.
whatever you choose to do.
Okay. And Brian, you want to add anything to that at all?
Vice President Martin, or excuse me, President Martin, the only thing I would add to that is something that she brought up when she was speaking on Thursday, that she was successful in going through what is now the process or request, which is the old earmark process, where she was able to bring in over $1 million in the last 2 years, 2 sessions. So that proves to me that she is talking to the right people, getting her name out in front, let alone all the advantages she's had and brought the core and our work plan efforts with them to start doing design and construction in the past, but even just recently with the COVID, the $1 million she's been able to bring to the district in that process. So from that perspective, I think she's doing a great job.
And certainly, it certainly illustrates how cost effective it is having a lobbyist present there. So any questions or comments from the board? Amber? Robert?
Sure, I'm always willing to comment. I don't think, honestly, when I look at this, I don't think the price is outrageous. I like the idea of having someone who is not working for someone else in the area. I know that the city used to share a economic development director, and they would bring people up and the people wouldn't be that impressed. And so they say, well, let's go down here, and they go to maybe Cathedral City or somewhere else. And so when you have someone that's dedicated just to you in this area, I think you get, they're more focused on you than, well, if I can't get it for you, I'll get it for you. And it is true, unfortunately, that you need to have those connections, and having that familiar face is important, especially given that I do believe Feinstein is supposed to retire and there will be someone new. So we're going to need someone that knows the staff that will work their way through. So I think based on the knowledge that I have of her, I'm very favorable on this.
Thank you. That's Ted.
I was going to ask the same question that Director Griffith just explained. And I agree, that's good that she's just representing our district up there. It's sometimes it's kind of a crapshoot. You may get the money, you may not, but it sounds like this young lady's bringing us in more money than we're spending. So I'm all for it. Thank you.
Ivan?
And I'd say just in my time here, I've been really impressed with Laura, and I was glad when she moved companies that we were able to keep her. And I'm just glad that she's there looking out for our best interests.
Okay. Okay, is recommended to authorize the general manager to execute the agreement for services with Capri and Clay Government Relations in the amount of $4,000 a month for the term February 1st, 2023 to January 31st, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Roll call vote, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, item 12. mid-year operating budget report and fiscal year 2022-23 capital budget and continuing appropriations. Is recommended to approve the mid-year operating budget report and fiscal year 2022-23 capital budget and continuing appropriations. General Manager Wallum.
Yeah, I'll probably yield the floor to Arturo, but I don't have anything additional other than, even with all of the money moving around and the projects we've been waiting for 10 years, when we come down to it, it's pretty, actually pretty minor adjustment. Did you have anything you wanted to add today, Arturo?
Thank you, General Manager. Nothing additional that I would like to add. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly answer them.
Okay. Ted, do you have any questions?
Yes. Well, no, I don't.
Nothing further. And I would just say for any public that's wanting to know more, our workshop really covered the breadth of it. So
You had good questions. I
Yeah.
want to compliment you.
Yeah, okay.
If Amber's going to answer most of the questions.
Robert?
Nothing.
Saving the best for last year on there. Amber?
Just a couple, I
Okay.
promise.
Okay.
Just a brief clarification. We're adding a net revenue increase of 17.7 million, which is the grant revenue mostly. I want to make just a clarification. This is going into our accounts receivable as revenue. Is that correct?
The only thing we can budget for is revenue and expenses. And so we are moving that to the revenue. How it ends up in our general ledger is as a receivable at the end of the year, once we know how much we actually spent. Again, this is an estimate of what we're going to spend through the rest of the year. Once we end up with the final number, June 30th is what we record as a receivable on the general ledger and the net revenue against this one budget number.
Okay. And it's, I guess I wish these two agenda items, 13 and 12, were vice versa, because if the board makes a decision on 13, I don't see anywhere in here that addresses the increase of 1.4 million in expenditures over the next several months. So I'm just trying to figure out, are you accounting for the potential of the next agenda items expenses, or will that come back to us shortly thereafter for another review?
No, that is included in here. In fact, a lot of items that you've already seen in the current agenda did require additional funds, except we are not requesting those because they were within each department's budget to move around and to cover them. As you know, each department has the ability after the budget has been passed to move funds around to cover the expenses, unless it's asking for additional funds, which is what we're doing in this case. That's what when we do bring it to the board, and that's because we didn't see any other way of getting around some of these expenses. We would have been able to find some of them from other departments and other budgets. We would have just transferred as opposed to requesting additional funds.
Okay, I guess it's just difficult for me to approve the budget based on a lot of we're not sure yet parts. So thank you for answering the questions.
Okay, anything further? Yes, Ted.
How does the board feel about bringing this back, say in 90 days, so we can see where we're at with the spending with a couple of the projects we got going on?
Could we get
You
a-
mean to vote on it? I just wanted clarification.
Not to vote on it, but
Just to
maybe,
report?
yeah, just
Oh, we'll
report so we
report
know,
back
and then
to
we can
you.
decide if we need to vote on something.
We'll report back to you anytime you want us to.
But we're voting on it today.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
This is mid-year.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the mid-year operating budget and report fiscal year 2022-23.
I'll move the item.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
No.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to item 13, resolution 2023-02, Mission Springs Water District Regional Water Reclamation Facility Installment Purchase Agreement. Arden?
Yeah, just briefly, I'm not going to go into a lot today, but what you're voting on today is simply a temporary financing alternative that will save the district approximately $250,000. Several alternatives, including funding from our reserves, utilizing a revolving bridge loan for interim construction financing offered by the state for cases like this, or utilizing this installment purchase agreement that you have in front of you today. That seems to be the least cost to the district. I just want you to understand that this really doesn't do anything, but even if we were to go out and didn't have a grant, this may be necessary. I'm not saying it would, but it could be something necessary. And so if we didn't even get the full grant, it may be necessary to procure interim financing. It's always that way in projects like this, or possibly always that way. You are simply voting on the most beneficial interim financing that is in many cases typical for a project this size. We brought this to you nearly 6 months ago, and I think this is the 4th public meeting we've had on it. And the only other thing I can tell you is that, and Arturo may have something further to say, but I got to be very clear. We need to get this plant built yesterday. We are running out of capacity, and we cannot, for example, accept any more septic to sewer projects that would increase the flow. And it has so many benefits that we've gone over with you. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Amber?
I guess I just have a general question or concern, I guess would be the right way of putting it. Is there a reason why this board was presented just the one option instead of more detailed options to choose from, like you just mentioned with the construction loan from the state for I think it was mentioned as a 1% loan. Is there a reason why that was excluded from being included here as a choice? Because given the state's budget issues and the potentiality of deferments, I would lean more toward that 1% construction loan to ensure we can complete the project, whether or not the grant money comes through or not, versus this interim. So my question is there a reason why we weren't given the choice?
Well, because essentially the 1% loan isn't, the grant is replacing the 1% loan. Once we were offered the grant, we decided to go that route. It's probably just about as secure to get that as it is the 1% loan. Arturo, you can elaborate on that, but the loan isn't really what we're talking about as far as this interim financing goes. Even if we did get that 1% loan, we may still need to do this interim financing because you've got such a cash flow out the door. It would take, a certain period of time for them to put the loan in place as well. But of course, we want a $68 million grant. Even a 1% loan would be a substantial amount of money to put on the debt. Our debt service ratio is 12, or no, excuse me, 8. It was 12. That is extremely good for a district this size, or for any district. Most districts, I think, are down to about 1.5 to 2. Arturo, did you want to elaborate any on that?
Yeah, of course. That 1% was available. What was it, about a year and a half ago? That's not available to the district anymore. We brought over to the board the best option and the least costly for the district. We can surely have been have provided additional the information that we received for the proposals. However, having done our due diligence and bringing in everyone that we needed to, including our bond counsel, who did review this information and decided that I was best option for the district and the least costly, we didn't see the need to bring that information simply because it was irrelevant if we're already choosing the best option for the district.
So to understand you correctly, the 1% is no longer available or would take so much time to put back on the table that we would have to go into those emergency reserves in order to maintain our daily cash flow needs.
Correct. And it's not to maintain the cash flow needs. It is for the time being that we collect from the state. We do have that roughly $35 million with our investments, in addition to what we carry on a daily basis with Wells Fargo. This is in anticipation of the upcoming costs for the regional plant and the timing between now and when we start collecting the funds from the state. And obviously, we do not have to, you do not have to approve the loan. We just have to start pulling from our investments. And as you know, pulling from the investments, the cost of doing that, it's roughly almost 800,000 versus the net difference of going after the loan is about 560,000. That's a $250,000 less of having to borrow than drawing down our own funds, and then at the end of the day, depleting cash. And it's just we're not suggesting that we do that. It's not feasible for the district to find ourselves in a situation where we need that cash at that point in time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Robert?
Nothing, just that I looked at this and just, I know that time is of the essence, as I stated last week. The Fed meets on the end of this month. There is an expected 25 basis points increase. The fact that the federal fund rate right now is 4.5 to 4.75, and the loan is actually lower than that interest wise. So that's a benefit. But I do know that everything's going to increase in about 2 weeks at the least. As far as pulling out of the investments, I lost a lot of money this year, as did past 2 years, as everybody else has. And the last thing I'm going to do is pull out at the bottom. I'll probably put some more money in, but for me, just as I don't want to see us pull out our investments and lose money, when if we just let it sit, we will regain that at some point. So this makes sense for the moment for me.
Okay. Good.
Yes, I have a question for Arturo. You just stated that it would cost over around $1 million to pull out of those investments. But here in this $15 million loan we're talking about, let's see, I don't have my glasses. It was going to be, well, originally we were going to pay 4%, almost 4% last meeting, Thursday. Now we're up to 4.5%. And there was going to be a little over $1 million worth of interest and fees that the bank was charging us. So when we look at it that way, isn't it cheaper to get the investments out?
It isn't, because we are going to be depositing those funds that are not used on a daily basis in a money market account. The interest on the loan, if the board does pass this today, is going to be locked at 3.99%. That was the bank's information provided on Thursday. What is on the staff report is a not to exceed interest rate of 4.5. That's how the agreement was written. And as of Thursday, that number was 3.99. And again, we are going to be investing those funds, and they spoke about that money market account that's already bringing the district significant amounts every week. And so if we invested the difference of what we were paying in interest to the investment income that is bringing in, it's that 500,000 cost. not the $1.3 million. We did an extensive review of those numbers, and that is what, based on the cash flows that we need over the next 2 years of money going out, and also the regular revenues and cash coming in, is what it would cost the district. So yeah, that is why we're not recommending to go that route.
When we're talking $72 million, I think is when it originally came out, is what you're recording. Now it's 68, but anyways, $500,000 to reassure the city and everybody involved that we can come up with this money to finish this project almost sounds like a good investment, because right now we're just kind of all over. Like, for instance, when we all agree that we need a new treatment plant. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We need it. It's something that we can't have without. But in the beginning of this, like 6 months ago, around June, after the groundbreaking ceremony, we were told that it was going to be the citizens. I was a citizen then. I wasn't, I was concerned about this back then before I even ran for election. We were told on social media, and I asked this question from MSWD, where's the money coming from? And the answer was it was going to be paid with grant money and low interest loans at 1%. And my reply to that was, if it's a $72 million project, you're going to have $720,000 in interest. Where will that money come from? Then the conversation was deleted from social media. After being elected, I understand the importance of what's going on here. But and I was under the impression that we had 5,000 homes that were going to be hooked up to this. Well, that's going to be initially. So with 63 miles of sewer line that needs to be run in, that's going to be quite a while before we get to that point. So not
63.
6 miles. Well, it's less than, we went 3 miles. No, to hook up the 5,000 homes. Got to go all the way out to Whitewater, up and down the streets. I thought that was a big number myself. Then I started thinking about up and down the streets in the residential areas. So, where's that money going to come from? So my whole thing is, after we're not going to get to hook up those the additional 45 homes anytime soon over a course of years, and maybe a number of years because of the cost to run that sewer line in. So now we come down to, okay, we're going to hook up 105 homes. So the revenue from that at $50 a month per home on that 405, we're now bringing in 243,000. There's no guarantee that any developer is going to develop anything over where our sewer treatment plant is. Like, we just don't have that guarantee. So where is this money going to have to come from if we don't get the grants? And my conclusion today, because we haven't got any grants at this moment, my conclusion today is you have to we're approaching 14,000 customers. So if we take 14,000 customers and we divide 72 million by 14, each household is going to be looking at, or each customer is going to be looking at $8,500 before interest and all. So we have a real problem here. Eventually, our ratepayers are going to have to pay for this. Sure, we're trying to get grant money, but we don't have any guarantee today. The next problem I see with this is that we're kind of losing credibility here through this. Because are we really going to be able to get this done? Or aren't we going to be able to get it done? Where's the money coming from? We're not even sure at this point, where there's no guarantees. So my solution to this problem is, if we earmark that $30 million to use on the treatment plant, and by that I mean if we don't get the grant money, we can go and pull that money out. Now, with this $15 million loan, the money, the 16 million I think we already spent, we're only short 10 million. So if we took out a loan for 25 million, that brings that cost to our customers down to about 1,500 before interest per home. You follow me there, Arden? Raise your hand.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not. Okay. So basically,
The numbers are not correct.
Well-
That's okay.
well, I don't know what number isn't correct, and you're probably right. It's a generalization. So basically what I'm saying here is we need a game plan, a financial game plan on how we're going to pay for this and who's going to pay for it. And is there going to be a large rate or any kind of a rate increase for our customers? One board of directors said back in June that the increase would be shield. We don't have anything to worry about because of the low interest loans. So that's where I'm at with this. I just don't see it, the light at the end of the tunnel, other than there's going to be a big charge for the customer to pay for it.
Okay, my comment sort of goes back to what my original statement was. This really doesn't have, I mean, it's related, don't get me wrong. But the issue today is not whether we don't do the plan or whatever we do. It's just to get us an interim financing to handle our cash flow. Whether we did a loan or a grant, that's what this proposal is today. And
Okay, so
I don't, I can't, and it's really not on the agenda to deal with a lot of what you just said. But with that said, I think we have Steve Ledbetter here. He can comment on this. When we submitted this proposal, even with the loan, the state agency that evaluated their decision to provide us with a grant or a loan, did an analysis of our financing. And they're not going to lend us the money either if we can't afford it. And they basically said, yes, we can afford to finance this if we wanted to. And that's my only reason for saying that up front, is that I really think that we could sit down and talk about this. We're very comfortable that we're going to get this financing. And maybe Steve can present to you some of the history that we went through in order to get to this point. Steve, did you have anything that you might add to that?
Thank you, General Manager Wallum. I will state that we have been working with the state since prior to 2019. We actually started working with the state in 2017. We submitted all of our application and approved CEQA documents to constitute a full, complete application in around summer of 2019. We worked with the state diligently through COVID. Beginning in about early 2021, we initiated weekly calls between myself and the state, the staff engineer at the state, to work through the process, get questions answered regarding financing and grants. Throughout the time, we were only aware that the district was eligible for 16 million in grant, and the rest would be a low interest loan. We were in the process of completing an agreement for that during the spring and summer of 2021. And it wasn't until August of 2021 that the state notified the district that they had additional funding passed at the state level, and there was a focus on shovel-ready septic to sewer projects. The district was able to work with the state for the remainder of 2021 into early 2022 to verify, or excuse me, to justify that the project capacity at the treatment plant would support the remaining septic to sewer flows from the district. So this project is not intended to support development. Doesn't mean there's not capacity that development can use. They will have to pay their fair share, but the intent of this grant and this project is to complete the septic to sewer program. So that's what really kept the district eligible for full grant funding. Since spring of 22 into bringing the agreement forward in August of 22 to the board, it was finalizing that the state approved 68 million in grant funding for the project. And one thing I failed to mention is the entire program was around 49 million when we started, and due to changes in the three components project scopes, inflation, supply chain issues, what have you, all those costs ultimately resulted in an increase to 68 million, and the state again agreed to fund that. With the approval of the agreement, the state has set aside the $68 million in funding for Mission Springs project, the regional water reclamation project. That's all three components. That's a treatment plant, the conveyance line, and the M2 collection system that would abate over 400 septic tanks in the M2 area. And I guess in closing, we're at the second step to actually start spending the money. That's this FBA final budget approval process that we're in right now with the state. Arden, does that capture what you were after? I'm happy to provide more information, answer any questions, but that's really the kind of the summary of what we've been working through with the state to date.
I'd like to make a comment at this point, which is involving the legality of this discussion. And, you know, this is my first time at one of these meetings, not one of these meetings. I've been going to public agency meetings for over 3 decades, cities and districts and so forth. Obviously, you know, we're governed by the Brown Act. We can only discuss those items which are on the agenda. There is a item on the agenda for a installment purchase agreement, which is a form of public financing for $15 million. And, you know, I'm relatively new here, but it seems that we're now talking about a grant program, which is something that was approved at a different meeting and which is not on this agenda. And I think that if members of the public, you know, they want to know what this board is discussing at any given time. And if there's a lengthy discussion about the grant program, then they deserve to know that in advance. It needs to be on the agenda. So
And agendized.
I would caution the board to stick to the agenda that was posted in accordance with the Brown Act, and that involves the $15 million financing.
Well, thank you for that clarification. I just have one more question. How did we get to the point that we need $15 million?
Arturo can explain that. We actually did present that to you actually twice, and as that we looked at our cash flow. Arturo, do you want to, I mean, I can explain it, but I think I'll let Arturo do that.
Yeah, Director Merhoffen, this is our game plan. This is why we're putting this forward to you, to give you 2 years to look at all the information necessary for you to make a decision on how do we move forward. We did submit a request for a financing between 10 and 20 million. And after reviewing all our cash flows and the expected expenditures for the regional plant construction, this is what we determined was needed to keep us going for the next 2 years. As you know, the repayment plan on the financing is going to be interest only, which amounts to about $57,000 a month. That is funds that we do have available immediately, including the net cost of the interest to the district of about $550,000. That gives you, the board, enough time for 2 years to determine where we go from here. If it is to take out the funds from the investments to pay down this debt, or if we have by then received the funds from the state to cover the loan. That is why we determined that at this point it's $15 million after looking at the current cash balances and the expected cash outflows for the regional plant over the next 2 years.
Just the purpose of this is just whether we get a loan or a grant, the purpose is just to get us through the cash flow issues. And this is the least expensive way to the district to do that.
Anything further, Ted?
No.
Okay, Ivan?
Mine is just a comment. I appreciate all of your work, Arturo and staff, on putting this together and making it digestible for the board to try and better understand. I'm very much in favor of the line of credit over going into our investments. And I think this is a good option, and in a perfect world, we'd have an answer already from the state, but I think I'm confident in that and ready to move forward. Thank you.
Amber? Robert? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to pass resolution 2023-2002, Mission Springs Water District Regional Water Reclamation Facility Installment Purchase Agreement. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
No.
Director Duff,
No.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to discussion items. Item 14, Mission Springs Water District Regional Water Reclamation Facility Update.
I don't have anything additional to say. Steve, do you have anything additional to say with regard to that?
No new updates on my end or from the state.
Okay. Okay, if anything further from you, Arden?
Nothing further from me, no.
Okay. Moving on to item 15, Critical Services Center and Administrative Building Update. Arden?
Nothing, I don't know if Brian has anything, nothing more than what we shared with you last Thursday.
Okay. Any questions from the board on that?
How much have we spent on that so far?
No, I don't know.
300,000, somewhere around there?
I believe it's close to about 1.5 million for where we are with the architecture and the drawings that we've been provided to date.
And where's that money gonna come from?
Well,
Or has come from?
it comes from.
It comes from our operating funds.
Operating fund, yeah.
I believe the way it's laid out in the, excuse me, in the budget now, it's a capital improvement. So it shows up in the capital budget because it's a carryover project from year to year, but the expense hits all funds.
So we spent 1.5 million on the plans and engineering and all?
Yes,
Yes, so far.
approximately. I can get you that exact number after this meeting.
Yeah.
One question I have real quick that may help clarify that issue a little bit. How much do we get from property taxes? The water district, approximately ballpark it.
That's gone up. I think it's over 2 million.
I had asked Arturo.
Carol,
Yeah, Arturo, how much do we get on property taxes? Do you know?
Yeah, last year we received $3.5 million.
Yeah, a lot of times when we're talking about spending money and everything, everybody automatically thinks about that we're taking it from water rates, and we do get property taxes, so, and which we don't set, so.
Yes, I do understand that, President
Yeah,
Martin.
okay,
We also get money from the cell towers too, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know, here we are voting for a loan and that we're got money being spent elsewhere that when we don't know where the rest of the money is going to come for the regional center.
If I may,
That's all I'm going to say about it right now.
okay.
if I may, I want to remind the board that you voted to use the funds from the cell towers to supplement customers who are struggling with their bills. It goes to the United Way Fund to help our customers who cannot afford to pay their bills at this time.
That's good to hear, Artur. I wasn't here at that time, but I'm happy to hear that that's where that's going.
Okay. Ivan, any further? Amber, anything further? Robert? Okay. Item, let's see. Already got to item 15. Moving on to consent agenda. There are 2 items on the consent agenda. First is the approval of minutes, and the second is register of demands. You've had a chance to look over the minutes over the weekend. Is there any corrections, additions, or comments you want to make on the minutes? Hearing none on register of demands, totaling $4,706,351.85. Any questions or comments on item 17? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Roll call vote, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes,
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
okay. Moving on to director's reports. Ivan, I think you did yours on,
Yes.
okay. Ed, do you want to,
I would just, I'm looking forward to the tour that Director Duff and I,
this is on the, any meetings that you've attended, then we'll get to the director's comments in a second.
okay.
Yeah, so will you, do you go to any meetings or anything you want to report back on at all?
No,
Okay, and Ivan, you already said yours. Amber, anything? Robert?
Of course. Attended the DWA meeting in January, I think it was the 3rd, where they installed their officers and did a CVWD meeting the following week. And then just this morning actually did another DWA meeting that I think is topical, which I alluded to earlier. And Ted, you will be very interested in hearing this for sure, as will everybody else. But since we had a conversation regarding rates, and I don't want to scare people, but just to give you an idea of some stuff that's going on. So there's been a lot of talk recently because of all the rain. Is the drought over? The larger reservoirs are slowly filling up, but I don't even think, I don't know if they're at 50% yet. Last I was there, gone up 1% here and there in the 30s and 40s. So this is about the Sites Reservoir. It's a reservoir that they're planning on building. It's not going to be like in the mountains where they're damming. It's actually going to be an offshoot off of the Sacramento River. And what DWA has done, as has CVWD, but in terms of this DWA, they're involved in this project that will allow them to store up to 6,500 acre feet annually in this reservoir. There's a maximum they can store, which is about 40,000 acre feet, roughly. It's an expensive project. Total current cost is expected to be $3.9 billion. 19% of that's covered by the state, who will have a portion of that. The federal government is 16%. Also, they will get some, and then the rest is local. 65% will be covered by agencies. I believe there's 22 agencies involved. There's also a waiting list of water districts or water contractors that want to get involved in this. The construction costs alone, just to give you an idea, DWA is going to be 3.9%, which is about $114 million. And this will end up costing everybody just for the construction. So to give you an idea, what they estimated is the annual cost for a DHS homeowner is $29 a year, which will go on the tax rolls. And then their rate to pay for this will be 0.041 cents per HCF. So it's an increase of about 1.8% on the rates just for the construction. So when we had the conversation, the reason I bring this up is we had the conversation, nobody wants the rates to go up, but there are factors outside of our control, being that this is a state water contractor that does fill for recharge. This is going to end up costing them. One of the issues is they don't have a direct connection to the system, so they have to swap with Colorado. We know that's kind of a problem. But to give you an idea of what the overall cost is going to be once this is done, what they are estimating is that for delivery of this water, the cost will be anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 per acre foot. Desalinization is around $2,500 per acre foot. I'm not sure what they're paying right now, but I know that $1,000 to $1,500 per acre foot is a lot of money. And so just I wanted everyone to, one, know that there is something online coming, which if we had it, we could have filled in quite a lot of storage. But once this all goes through, this is one of those projects that eventually the cost will trickle down to everybody involved. So that's all I have.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed I get the questions a lot when people watch the news and they see these non-river deluges sweeping and wiping out roads and stuff. And you say, where's all that water going? Well, up north, most 99% of it going out to sea. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we're not able to capture that storm runoff and save it for the replenishing the groundwater. I'll go ahead with mine on the 6th of December City Council meeting. There were several presentations. There was a public hearing on a cannabis warehouse and a hotel. And some other things. It was one of the shorter city council meetings. On the 16th, Desert Valley Builders Association charity luncheon. It was an interesting charity luncheon in that the donations were of formal wear. If you had formal wear you want to get rid of for young people from disadvantaged communities and families, so that they could attend formal events like proms and things like that. So they brought in a lot of gowns, and I donated a tuxedo, so I felt like it was.
Did you donate your gown?
It didn't fit anymore. So. Gosh. On the 3rd of December, attended the Women's Club Black and White Dinner fundraiser for scholarships, etc. That's always a wonderful event. On the 8th, State of the County presentation. There was a presentation by each of the supervisors and their respective district. That was a very informative one. Highly recommend that to anybody in the future to attend. On the 12th, Desert Valley Builders Association board meeting. They discussed a lawsuit between the Desert Valley Builders Association and the city of Coachella. It usually has to do with fees that the city or a government agency is charging development and builders and the like. On the 14th, Agua Caliente Tribal Water Authority Board, I sit on their board, and they had officer elections. There was an Agua Caliente Tribal Code amendment and a groundwater production permit by Union Pacific Railroad was discussed and approved. And that concludes my report. So moving on to item 19, General Manager's report, starting with the financial report. I don't think we have anything more on the financial report.
No, I think you, I think Marion wanted to say a few words. We've got a couple things that
on her public affairs report.
Yeah, on her public affairs.
Okay. Yeah, Marion, go ahead.
Thank you, President Martin, and thank you, General Manager Wallum. As I mentioned on Thursday, we're finishing up our last Community Water 101 presentation this Thursday at the Desert Hot Springs Library. And I wanted to make sure that I extended a personal invitation to each of the board members in case they'd like to attend. The session is going to cover finance, financial planning, rates, customer service, and a demo of our new customer service portal. It's really been a very fun group this time. We've got community members with a very diverse background. I know that in the past, they've always enjoyed meeting and interacting with our board members whenever they've attended. So again, this meeting is Thursday, January 19th between 6 and 7 p.m. at the DHS library. And that's all I had to add. But thank you very much for giving me some time.
Thank you. Moving on to district council comments. Anything from our esteemed legal representative? No? Welcome to our board meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Director's comments. Ted, go ahead.
Yes, first I'd like to say thank you, Director Griffith, for that little update there and the cost on that. It's not only important that we try to store all of our water, but Arden, may I ask you a question, or Brian? It's going to be how many years before the aquifer underneath this will fill up by replenishing this into their groundwater? It's going to be quite a while, isn't it?
No, in fact, even with, first of all, with the water that we're replenishing it with, we're still probably seeing a decline in some of the areas. But And the other thing you should all know is that this water they're talking about at Sykes Reservoir will never reach this valley. They exchange their allotment and the state project for Colorado River water. So you could go buy Colorado River water for a lot less money, probably.
So it's good the reservoirs are filling up, but we're not out of the woods for a long time.
The one thing I can tell you, we have had a sustainable yield here. It's different in the different subbasins. Fortunately, because of our reduction in our production, I mean, we went from 12,000 acre feet a year down to about 8, and we're maintaining. What did we get this year? Around it, right at 8. The rest of the valley maintained their production throughout this entire period of time. So we cut back, that helped. But you have to also understand CVWD pumps half as much as we do from Mission Creek Subbasin. And they pipe it about 23 miles to the south and east across the tracks. There's a lot of things that you will probably learn was on, but even with that, one of the reasons our alternative plan was acceptable was because we could show a 10-year sustainable yield. Not many subbasins can show that. Now, whether it's going to consistently do that in the future, our projections are that, the one thing that could be several times more beneficial than imported water is the water we get from this regional plant. So there are many aspects to this project that are going to help us out in the future. It really does help us maintain our yield in that aquifer. I don't know. Do you know? I mean, if you look out far enough, we're gonna have to get
So even though
beyond our lifetime. Sure.
The reservoirs are filling up, we still need to conserve water. So
You'll need to conserve.
yes. My next comment is Director Duff and myself, we haven't had a tour of the Horton plant yet. We went on the outside, but on how it works and how everything goes on there. So we'd like to see if we get that scheduled. Yes, thank you.
We'll have it all done. Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Love to do that.
Okay, Ivan, any comments?
Just a quick comment. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make this Thursday's Water 101, but I encourage the other board members. I went to the sessions the first time we had the Water 101s, and it was beneficial to myself as well as being able to see members and community members and forming relationships. So it's always a good event. Thank you.
President Martin, I have a question about Thursday. There's going to be a workshop, community workshop concerning development at City Hall. So I should be there for that, shouldn't I? And as opposed to being to the 101.
Oh, yeah, that's optional. Water 101 is optional. We don't.
Okay, well, I'll be at the city then since
Okay.
you're going to the other one and
That's worth
representation of both of them.
worthwhile too. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Robert?
There's actually 3 events on Thursday.
Yes.
There is the community development event at City Hall. There's Water 101, and then the Historical Society is having their soup supper at Mission Lakes Country Club. And so I will be attending that. I will not be able to make it to Water 101. So that's all I have to say. Sorry.
Actually, there's 4 events because DVBA is having their networking night too. So I don't know what it is with Thursdays, why everything has to happen on a Thursday. It's really amazing. Nobody ever has a meeting on a Friday or Wednesday, another day on there. Amber, any?
So I just have one comment, and hopefully we can maybe address this with our community. Marion, I'm sure, probably has it on her list already. But we all received the new trash cans recently for our food waste, right? I fear and would be willing to bet that we're going to see a pretty severe uptake of not friendly particles and products in our sewer system. And just like that calendar's artwork displayed, no grease and oil and things, down the drain. We may have to elaborate and no bones down the toilet and things like that. And I'd like to see maybe some sort of community effort going toward educating our community to not hurt our water sources when they're trying to deal with their new trash obligation.
Like, yeah, bless your heart. Yeah, that's absolutely. Can I say something? Oh, excuse me. I got to get near the mic here. You know, I mean, I think a lot of things when they first came out with COVID, they advertised these as disposable wipes. You could flush them down the toilet. Nothing could have been farther from the truth. You can't believe every wastewater plant in this valley had problems with that. You are right. Yeah. And I'm sure Marion is taking notes right now.
Anything further on? You said you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, I just, in relation to that, and that is Marion can clarify this if I make any mistakes, but I do know that at the 70th anniversary community event that Desert Valley Disposal will have their own table, and we can certainly have a conversation with them on the importance of not throwing large chunks of things down the toilet.
If I might, they're actually going to be side by side with the city of Desert Hot Springs, and they are going to be talking about this program in particular.
Okay. One comment I have to make is that city council meeting tonight starts at 5 o'clock. At 5:15, the 5 o'clock session is usually presentations. And at 5:15, they are making a presentation honoring former director Nancy Wright for all her efforts tonight at 5:15.
DVD is going to be there too.
Was that?
Desert Valley Disposal has a presentation there too.
Okay, Desert Valley Disposal as well. So how exciting.
I'll talk.
And if there's nothing further on there, the meeting is adjourned.